the way that my body has been set up, if y'all have been following me for some time, there are times that my body wants to act up, whether it's my mouth swollen, my eyes swollen. But look, like I always say when I've done these lives, I say the show must go on. I still look fabulous. Y'all can tell me, talk back to me, let me know if that's all right. But I said, you know what? I'm not going to let my swollen eye, nothing happened. You know, my dad didn't do anything. I didn't do anything to him. If y'all got to see, in fact, we had a great time. My dad and I brought in a new year together. It's been amazing. I got to hang out with my 93-year young auntie from down south, and just had a chance just to sit and glean from my dad and my auntie. They were just talking, and it was just amazing. And I decided just to sit quiet and listen and record, just to hear that wisdom that they were sharing. And it's just been amazing. I'm just thankful to God for another year. I'm grateful that my dad is here. I'm grateful that my mommy, she still lives on. And although it's upside down, my mommy's with me forever and a day. So all is well. And I just really wanted to share with you the things that I've learned that I would love to share with you regarding your year, because talk back to me. Ben, hey, what's going on? Hey, Rodney. Hey, Angie, how you doing? Happy New Year to you all. Thank you for tuning in. I'm going to share this real quick with you, what I've learned coming into 2020. And I think that this will be imperative for you to do the same. I mean, how many times have we been in a situation where we feel like we took an L and we had no choice but to take an L? What? That's my loss. I'm just going to count it as a loss and keep it moving. The thing is, did you learn from it? I used to say that there's no such thing as losing. It's either you win or you learn. And the only reason why you didn't win that time and you had to learn was because of the fact that there was something that you had to do or to grasp or to take in for you to cultivate, for you to grow. And this is what I've learned. Having taken so many L's in in 2019, for those who have followed me, look, I put it out there. Y'all saw what was going on, what has happened. The biggest L that I felt that I've taken was the loss of my mom. And that I didn't know how to deal with. I didn't think I knew how to deal with it. And I thank you all for your prayers. I thank you all for riding with me so much. Your prayers have felt, the inboxes, the text messages, just you sharing, and just the fact that your presence, I tell you this, your presence alone speaks it speaks volumes. Don't ever think that just the fact that you're checking in and you may not have anything to say, you don't know what to say. But the fact that you are acknowledging, or the fact that you are being present and just letting me know that you're here, that speaks volumes in anyone's life, just to let you know. So even if you don't know what to say to people, your presence alone speaks volumes. So thank you all. I really appreciate you. And by that, I definitely want to make sure that I be a blessing to you today and to share with you about these L's that we've been taking that we do not have to do in 2020 and beyond. Come on now, this is a whole new decade, although it depends on who you talk to, because some people argue that we're not in our new decade yet. It doesn't start till 2021. But okay, for the point, let's just say this is the new decade. So here's what I've learned, and I want to share with you about these 5 L's that we seem to take and don't do anything with it. Did we learn? Did we grow? Did we cultivate? Did we apply what we learned so that we take no more L's? We don't have to keep taking an L all the time. And I definitely, since this is the first of the year, I don't want you to start off that way. I would rather for you to now do the 5 A's that I'm going to share with you. But first, we got to find out and identify what's going on that's having us to take some L's. So this is what I've learned, okay, from my whole experience in 2019. I couldn't wait to get out of 2019. I've seen so many people post different things about, why you keep cursing 2019. For a couple of people, 2019 was amazing for them. For the rest of us, 2019 was HELL hockey sticks, okay? And y'all got to talk back to me. I want to know, how has it been for you so far this new year? What are your intentions? What are you going into? So that we can make sure that this is a clean slate, okay? Brand new year, brand new decade. Let's do this thing right, because the way that you start a thing can determine the end of a thing. So I would rather for you to make sure that you start this thing off right, so that you make sure that you produce what it is that you want to receive and have to, in your life to show up this 2020 year and beyond, okay? So all right, so what have I learned? 2019 was something else. In all things, though, I still say that I'm grateful and I'm thankful for what I've learned, what I've experienced, and for where I am today. I felt that I took some L's, and I'll tell you the truth. Had I not gone through what I've gone through, perhaps I wouldn't have recognized these 5 L's that I'm going to share with you. So the first L that I realized that we seem to take a lot is there's 3 main ones, and then there's 2 that came to me after the fact, after, having time to myself. After my mom's transition, I needed some time to myself to really come to know who is Sarah Renee. I thought I knew me, as far as being a caregiver, being determined, being ambitious, being driven, loving my family, just really being loyal and dedicated and devoted. I thought that this made me me. But there was still more to me that I didn't even know and realize. There were some things that I didn't identify with, and I wouldn't have identified with it if I hadn't gone through what I've gone through. And it seemed to have taken my mom's transition for me to really stop and open my eyes. But I look at it as it was a win-win-win for everyone. A win for my mother because she's healed, she's whole, she's happy, she's complete. She's with God, she's with, her family, she's with my sister. She's great. And she's with me always. And she has given me and instilled in me so much. So I'm happy that she is in a better place. And she also wanted me to live. She wanted me to now really live my life. But I'm like, well, what do I do now? All I've known was a caregiver for 12 years, besides being a businesswoman and all that other stuff. But I really gave in my all as being a caregiver. So I didn't know what was life after a caregiver. And this is when I realized that there were some things that was holding me back mentally. So hear this. So I said all that to say this part, to get to the 5 L's. I realized in my thinking, there were some things I was holding myself back from. And so one L that we take a lot, that we take an L for, is the word is loss. We look at a lot of things as if like we are without something, that, well, I don't have this, I don't have that, I'm not where I want to be. It's like in our conversations, we have to be mindful in what we say, what we speak out there. We say it, we read it in the Bible about, life and death is in the power of the tongue, but do we really have understanding, like really knowledge-based understanding of what it means when it says that life and death is in the power of the tongue? And we need to be mindful of what we say and how we're thinking. So instead of always thinking, okay, well, I've lost out on this, or I'm without, or I didn't get to do this, and I didn't get to do that, and I didn't finish my degree, and I didn't go to school, and I don't have enough money. That's all talking about some type of loss. And when we think that way, and we get that into our essence, our spirit, what else do you think that we're going to continue to keep having other than loss? If we focus on things that we do not have, we're going to have more of it, because our mindset is focused on that. If we were to think differently, think about what we do have and being appreciative of that, then we'll get more of that. But for now, the one L that we seem to talk about a lot, so I just really want y'all to be mindful in what you say this year. Even in your conversations, even if you're joking, even if you're playing, stop. Even if in the conversations and the people that you are hanging around, when y'all talking about, trying to one up on the other about who lost the most, listen, if all that is going on, trust and believe you're going to get more of the same. If you do not want to have loss in your life, then please stop talking about it. Stop thinking about what you don't have. Start thinking about what you do have. So that's the one L I want you to stop, because we keep taking the L, a loss. We're going to continue to keep taking losses because we keep focusing on it. The next L is similar to loss. The next L is lack. Again, it's as if like we're lacking in something. There's something's missing about ourselves, as opposed to looking at what we do have. A lot of times we think about lack because we may be comparing ourselves to someone else and what they have. Why are you looking at everybody else? Whatever is going on in someone else's world and their lives have nothing to do with you. Whatever people say about you is none of your business. You don't need to be focusing on what other people have for you to automatically compare yourself and wish and hope and complain about the fact that you don't have what other people have and therefore you're lacking. That's another L that we keep taking. You don't need to take that L anymore. Stop looking at what you don't have. Look at what you do have. Even if it's something that you consider is small, it's a start and it's a stepping stone. Because again, the more that you keep thinking lack, and limit, I'm about to give it the third L. The more that you keep thinking about lack, the more that you're going to bring into your experience, the more that you're going to keep bringing into your world. Stop looking at what you don't have. Start looking at what you do have. Even if you consider it as small, it's something that you do have that you can build and capitalize on. So the way that you think determines how you behave. So if you keep thinking about loss, you keep thinking about lack, you're going to get more of it. So please, this is 2020. New slate, new foundation, start it off right. Third L that we seem to take is limitations. So we keep limiting ourselves. Oh, I'm not able to do X, Y, and Z because I don't have the credentials. I don't have the degree. I don't have the money. I don't have this, that, and the other. The problem is that you're right. You're making it right. You're making it true that because of what you perceive as a limitation is now therefore you can't do X, Y, and Z. And that's not true. That's not true. If you were to look at things that you thought that you could never do and you were able to do it, or something that you thought that you could never have and you were able to get it, I don't care how small you consider it to be, nevertheless, you were able to obtain something. You were able to make something happen. When we put our minds to it, we make things happen because that's how powerful we are. So that said, instead of looking at what you don't have and you're limiting yourself and therefore you don't want to, or you feel like you cannot do whatever it is that you want to do or to have because you're limiting yourself, I want you to stop and I want you to rethink that. And think of a time that there was something that you thought that you would never have happen or you never were able to get and you were able to get it. Start thinking about that, because the more you think about that, what you were able to do or something that you thought was a miracle or something that you thought that was, luck or whatever you call it, the more that you keep going back to that thought, the more that you will now experience more and more limitlessness. You'll be able to see that you are limitless, that you were able to actually get the thing that you thought you could never have. As a matter of fact, instead of looking at what you have tangible, you may be surprised at how doors are opened up depending on how big and bad you want it. Again, things that we want that we like, my God, talk to me, y'all. Things that you really wanted in your life, things that you really wanted to obtain, you thought that you could never, or you thought that it was impossible, but because you wanted it that bad, look, you moved heaven and earth. Because your mindset, because of your feeling about it, because of your thinking about it, you got to pay attention. A lot of times my coach, Tawana, how you doing, girl? Thank you for tuning in. What I've learned is that a lot of times we don't pay attention to ourselves. Now, this is full disclosure, and me being a licensed clinical psychotherapist and PhD grad and all this great stuff, and I've done so many things, I'm telling the truth. I'm going to tell them myself. I didn't pay attention to myself enough because training wise and habitually, I'm always paying attention to everyone. That's what I was hired for, is to pay attention to people's behaviors, their patterns, their thinking, their lifestyle, however, their talk, their speech, their attitude. I would pay attention to that. But guess what? I really wasn't paying enough attention to me. And when I had time to now stop for at least 9 months, after the transition of my mother, I had time to really stop and pay attention to Sarah Renee. Who is she? Outside of being a caregiver, who is she? Outside of being an international global speaker, who is she? Outside of being a licensed clinical psychotherapist, who is she? Outside of being a PhD grad. I want y'all to hear me clearly. I mentioned those things because of the fact that it was justifiable for me not to pay attention to myself. I looked at it as, all right, I have enough credibility. I have enough skills, I have enough experience. So I think subconsciously I was telling myself that I don't really need to pay attention to myself. I've arrived. Isn't that crazy? But at the same time, I was taking L's, and I didn't understand why I was taking L's. Why was I in loss? Why was I in lack? Why was I in limitation? And to the next person, they may not even think that that was what was going on with me. Because we're amazing when it comes, I said this many times, we are excellent in how we present ourselves in Facebook world, in Facebook land. We know how to make ourselves pretty. We know how to make ourselves handsome. We know how to doctor it up. Okay. We know how to do that thing. But one thing that I'm going to say that I'm proud of myself for is the fact that I always wanted to present everything, both sides, not just the great stuff, but also the not so great stuff, because that is life. Life isn't always about, and oh my God, this is another conversation for another time, y'all. We have to be in balance. We have to be in balance. We can't be all the way on the left. Well, this is the right for me. We can't be all the way on the right, can't be all the way on the left. We have to be balanced. And if we're not balanced, trust and believe life will come in and balance us out. So that said, I needed that 9 months to come to know that there are some L's that we have been taking. I have been taking. And I had to recognize that, you know what? Instead of me always trying to make sure that I'm paying attention to everything and everyone for a change, I need to pay attention to me. And when I started to do that, that's when I started to discover who Sarah Renee is. Beyond the titles, beyond the roles, beyond everything, the accolades, beyond all of that, I got to really get to a place that I appreciated myself, that I started to really honestly like myself. When I thought that I liked myself, I went to another level of liking myself. And that's where I was able to start finding value in myself. I thought I had value based on the justification of the titles and credentials that I had. But when all that didn't matter after the loss of my mother, I wasn't thinking about all of that. I was thinking about, okay, well, what is next? What is life without my mom? What am I going to do? And I needed to be in that place so that I can now present to you what else you may be taking or have taken and you didn't even pay attention to your own self. It's hard to pay attention to ourselves. It's hard to really look at ourselves. And why? Because there may be some things about us that we just don't like, that we just don't want to see, that we just don't want to acknowledge, that we just don't want to deal with because of stuff that happened in our past, because of what has been said to us, that it became subconsciously driven and programmed and conditioned into our minds. So it's understandable why we would avoid wanting to even start doing some retrospective look within ourselves. But for 2020 and beyond, you're going to have to. It's not a matter, and I better not see this on these Facebook Lives in terms of, or just your posts. I better not see this because I will call y'all out, okay? I'm not playing this year. I'm not holding my tongue back. I can be rather saucy. That's one thing I realized when hanging out with my 93-year-old auntie. I said, now I see where I get this stuff from. Being so saucy and sassy. I love it. I love my family. I love both sides of my family. I have some saucy, sassy aunties, and I'm so glad that I'm one of them. So I will be saucy and sassy with you all if I dare see some stuff that I should not be seeing that's showing up in your 2020 year, because come on, y'all, just because it is 2020. This is not 1989. This is not 1977. This is 2020. So we should not keep repeating stuff. Certainly, I'm about to say stupid stuff. We shouldn't be repeating the same old stuff over and over. It's high time for someone to really tell you about yourselves. And what better person can tell y'all about yourselves than this doctor here, counseling of human behavior, to let you know that it's no longer cute. It's no longer, it's an excuse for you to be taking L's in your life. No more losses. No more lack. No more limitations. No more, the next L is liability. You don't have to be held liable and be okay with it. Like, you know what? Oh, that was my bad. I should have understood this more. I should have studied more. I should have done more. I should have paid attention more. I used to say that, and I would say, okay, you know what? Then I accept whatever the consequences are from me, whatever I've done because I wasn't prepared or whatever the case was. But the more I did that, the more I subconsciously was telling myself that, wow, I'm not valuable. that like I am not, up to par. Like something was wrong with me. Again, life and death is in the power of the tongue. And we have to pay attention to ourselves, because if we don't, we are allowing a lot of things that we really don't want to have into our space, into our lives. And we don't understand why things are happening in our lives. We don't understand why we are attracting certain things that we just don't want to attract. And really, the real issue with that, why certain things are showing up in your life that you don't understand, you need to look within yourself. What is it about you within? Because like attract like. there's a lot of things we're going to dispel this year. Hey, Tommy. Hey, Yolanda. Hey, April. Hey, how y'all doing? Thank y'all for tuning in. Happy New Year. I'm just talking about the 5 L's that we've been taking. I don't want y'all to take anymore going into 2020, and the 5 H's you need to do so that you can now flip the script and change the way that your life is going for 2020 and beyond. I tell you the truth, when I realized that we hold ourselves accountable, and we have a lot of things that we have to dispel because of the way that we've been programmed, the way that we think. We think that it's like life brings things to us, but we don't realize that we actually bring things to our lives. Like attract like. It's not opposites attract. I never subscribe to that. Opposites do not attract. I used to say differences attract because it complements each other, but rather like attracts like. So if you have stuff that's coming into your life that you don't want, you need to start looking at yourself. Like, what is going on in my life that I keep attracting this? Like, I would see people posting about how, some guy, so women would, post and talk about how some guy, is sending inappropriate things in their inboxes. And I used to think, I'm like, well, now, back when I started on Facebook land, like 10, 12, 11 years ago, I had that same thing happen. I was like, why are these fools posting certain crazy stuff? But when I said to myself one day, I said, you know what? I don't want this. I do not like this. This is not something that I want. I started to change my mindset on this. I said, you know what? I don't want this anymore. And the more that I kept saying that, it's been years since I had inappropriate anything coming through my inboxes. I don't attract that. So you have to be mindful of what's going on within you, or what is it that you have these things that's showing up in your world. When you recognize that and you just be honest with yourself, it may make a world of difference, so that you can now do something different about it. You can change it up so that now that doesn't happen anymore coming up in your life. So you don't have to be held liable. You don't have to keep holding yourself accountable for something that you're tired of it showing up in your world. You can do something different and get a different result for it. So we talked about these 5 L's that we've been taking in 2019 and before then. And it's high time for you to not do that now. And the only way that you cannot let it happen, taking these L's, is if someone tells you. Like, people had to tell me so that I was aware and become awake to this, so that I don't no longer have these L's showing up in my life. And I don't want this to happen for you. And this is why I'm sharing, because I've learned this after my mom's transition. I had time to really stop and think about, well, who am I and what is it that I really want in life? So we talked about loss. Stop taking the L. Stop looking at what you don't have. Stop looking at what you have lost over the time and things like that. You can always gain time. You can always gain money. You can always gain, things that you desire if you now stop thinking about what you lost and start thinking about what you gain. It's a shift in your mindset. When you stop thinking about lack, I don't have the money. I don't have the resources. I don't have the boyfriend, the girlfriend, the husband, the wife, the puppy, the kitty. You don't have. Look, stop talking about what you are lacking in. Let's look at what you do. Let's look at what you do have, that you can work with it. And the more that you look at what you have and what you can work with, you will be surprised at what will come into your peripheral, what will come into your space, your world, and your experience. Let's stop talking about, we talk about loss, lack, limitations. Stop talking about what you're unable to do. You're the only one that's saying that. It doesn't matter. Let's say you want to go for a job and it says, you have to have certain skills and things like that and experience. And you may say, oh, well, I don't have any of that. But that doesn't stop you from having to apply. Why? You may be surprised that a lot of times it's not based on what you know. It's really based on who you know. If y'all don't know that by now, it's based on who you know often, so that you work your way. You are able to be at this job or this career where you're building up the skills to eventually do something that is in your heart that you always inevitably wanted to do. But don't limit yourself. There's no need. Don't look about what you don't have. Look about what you do have and make that work for you. And liability, I talked about liability in terms of stop holding yourself accountable for things that you no longer want in your space. If you don't want certain things to happen in your life, then you need to now start looking at what is it that you're attracting so that you don't attract that anymore. Start start making a conscious effort to pay attention to what's going on in your world, not in everyone else's, but your own for a change, so that you can now make a difference in your life. Start paying attention to yourself so that you can start waking up, start becoming aware of what is going on in your world. That will then move you to make change. If you find that there's nothing going on in your world, or you feel like there's nothing that you need to change, that's it. You won't change it. There'll be no need to change anything because you don't think that there's a need to change. But you are still questioning, why is this still happening to me even in 2020? This has been happening to me for 20 years. Why is it still happening? Well, it just may mean that you need to stop and start looking at your life. Okay? So the fifth one, I forget what it is. So we got lack, loss, limitation, liability. The fifth one will come up to me whenever it comes, okay? And I'll just text it if we don't have enough time. I want to go into the A's. How do you win now in 2020 with these A's? Now, this is powerful. I realize that these A's will get you to where you need to be. The first A is alignment. And y'all should be putting this in the comment section. I already named these things. Y'all need to stop taking a L when it comes to loss, lack, limitation, liability, and I'll remember the fifth L when I remember. Maybe I'll remember by the time that we end this. But someone put this in the comment section. Stop these 4 L's, 4.5. Lack, loss, lack, limitation, liability. Let them go, so that you can now make room for these A's. There's 5 A's, and hopefully I'll remember the 5 A's. The first A is alignment. Alignment is powerful. Do you know what love means? Can y'all talk back to me? What does love mean? Adam, hey cousin, how you doing? Hey Michelle, how you doing? Hey Anissa, how you doing? Someone put that in the comment section. Talk to me what love means. I will tell you what love means, but I need y'all to tell me, what do you think love means? I brought that up because I'm not going to talk about relationships today, but trust and believe, when I get into my space of talking about so many things that we need to talk about this year, when it comes to relationships, when it comes to careers, when it comes to desires of the heart, when it comes to business, when it comes to whatever, family, I cannot wait to share these things with you to really help you to have your best year yet. Okay. And not as a cliche. I was never into cliches. I really want that to be actual and factual for you. Love means harmony. Love means being on one accord. When you love someone, you are in sync. You are in oneness. You're connected to them. So when it comes to alignment, you are in alignment with your purpose, with your destiny, with your job, with your spouse, with your significant other, with your friends, with your colleagues, with your job. It's about being in alignment with what it is that you really want to see happen in your 2020 year. So instead of, like I said, the shift is, instead of thinking about what you don't have, let's start thinking about what you do have and what you want to have. When you focus more on that, all that, the L's will disappear. And you'll see more of these A's that we're talking about and I'm sharing with you. So for you to win in 2020 and have your best year yet, make sure that you are in A. The first A is alignment. The second is acceptance. Accept what it is that you desire to have. A lot of times I found out in counseling, so many people for so many years, I always look at themes. What is the main theme that I'm getting in talking to people? What is it that they're lacking in? What is it that they're limited in? What is it that they feel that they lost in? What is it that they are holding themselves liable for? And it's just 2 out of thousands and thousands of people that I've counseled in the course of my 10 plus 12, 20 years, 12 years licensed and over 20 years, doing mental health. I realized that it's just 2 things that really keeps us stuck. Would y'all like to know? Talk back to me if y'all really want to know. Hey Trina, how you doing? Happy New Year to you. Hope all is well. Hey Sam, thank you for tuning in. Hey Marguerite, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Hey Sherry, thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you all. Hope y'all had a great new year. Trying to get y'all right in the 2020 year here. All right. So this is what I've learned here. Align. Align with your purpose, your destiny, with whatever it is that you're doing. Accept what it is that you desire to having you into your life. The more that you focus on what you want to have happen in your life, the more that you'll see of it. Accept whatever it is that you desire to have. Those two things that really keep people stuck that I've noticed in the years of counseling people is this word called deserving, and the other is easy. So it's easy not to do certain things. It's easy not to work hard. It's easy not to put enough effort into something. It's easy to stay comfortable. It's easy to be in your comfort zone. It's so easy. But yet we don't want to do what is necessary to get what we desire to have. And therefore we chalk it up as we're just not deserving. We're not worthy. So the more that you keep thinking that, the more that you make it true. Everything will make it true that you're not deserving, you're not worthy. But if you were to eliminate that and start thinking about how you are worthy and that you are deserving of what you desire, then you will put the effort in. There's no need to put any effort in something that you feel like you're not worthy of, you're not deserving of. It goes hand in hand. So I'd rather for you to accept the fact that you have a desire in your heart, this is something that you really want, and that will now move you to go after it. You'll start to think how worthy and deserving you are, and that it makes it easier for the flow of you accepting the fact that you can actually get what you desire. The third A is allow. It's one thing to accept. It's another thing to allow these things to happen into your experience. And this is a higher level thing in terms of like your consciousness, your subconsciousness. What is it that you are not allowing to happen in your life because you feel, again, you don't deserve it, you're not worthy? When you change the trajectory of your thinking and you start thinking about, you know what, I am worthy of this, I am deserving of this, I accept this into my life, you allow life to now bring it to you. And it's just amazing. It's just a simple shift. That's my word. One of my words for this year is simplicity. I want things to be simple and easy. We always making things complicated. We think that being complex, that seems like we're so smart and intelligent. And I tell you the truth, what's interesting was when I was going for my dissertation, or when I was doing my dissertation, I was going for my doctorate. It was so funny. We're thinking that we have to come in and sound so intelligent. But they would tell us, you know what, we want you to write as if you're writing to a fifth grader. Like you have to write as if you're talking to a fifth grader. I'm like, man, I haven't been in fifth grade in a long time. I don't know how a fifth grader talk. That was amazing how all those years of knowledge and studying and all of that, just to be told at that highest level of your career, your academic career, that we're being told that we have to think and write as a fifth grader. So look, make things simple in your life, y'all. Don't make this thing hard or complicated. Allow things to come into your life. Don't buck against it. Start paying attention to yourself and what you are doing, what you're not doing, what you're keeping from, happening, things that you desire, but yet you're keeping it from happening. And then you chalk it up as, okay, that's, it's just not my time. It's just not, I'm not ready, or, it's the man, or I don't have enough, and I don't have the education, I don't have the background. Stop that. Stop that noise, because those are all lies. It's just what you're creating and making it happen to be true. Just allow things to come into your experience, and you will have more of that, whatever it is that you desire. The fourth A is appointment. Everything happens in its appointed time when you are ready for it. Isn't that amazing? I used to think that it was whenever God will allow, or whenever, things happen and I do it right and I'm obedient and I believe and I have enough faith. But it's based really on how it's assigned and appointed to you, and it's appointed time when you are ready for it. When your mind is ready for it, when you have aligned with it, when you have accepted the terms to it, when you have allowed it to flow into your experience, in its appointed time, it shall be. Because now you're ready to receive it. Why receive something then you're not ready for it? Because then you don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to deal with it. You don't know what to do with it. You'll squander it. And then it's just a waste of time. And it's not fair for the fact that all these things have happened to align for you to have what it is that you desire to have, just for you to not be ready for it. No. Because one thing to get it, it's another thing to keep it. So it would be better for you to now be for its appointed time for you to be ready to be able to have that thing. So look, let go of those 4 L's. At first I said 5, and this is going to count up for 4. When I remember the 1 L, and then when I remember the 1 A, because I don't remember the other A. I think the 4 is good.